Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're gonna be talking about some more Scream 6 news, more things to cover. You guys know how I just released a video like 2 hours ago talking about this picture right here from Universal Horror. I covered it, and then like an hour later, ViewerAnon goes on Twitter and he teases us saying, "Oh, you guys want to know what this picture is about?" And then 20 minutes later, he posts this little paragraph basically showing, kind of like telling us what this picture is about. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before I get into that stuff, like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Like I said, really appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. But we're gonna get right into the ViewerAnon news that he just talked about here. So ViewerAnon, like I said, he had teased something saying like you guys want to know what this picture is about right here, this one, and then he said spoiler alert, the group is looking at glass displays of all the previous Ghostface killers' costumes, but the masks are missing. And then at the bottom he says, and the person whose head you can just barely see behind Mindy is Gail. And a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to like this is a lot to fathom here. Like I didn't even like when I read this I was like, what? Like what? So when he well the whole spoiler alert thing, like it probably like I said, take this stuff with a grain of salt. I have already said this many times before, but like I said, viewer Anon, he is a credible and reliable source, but still take things with a grain of salt because we just never know. So I'm not saying that this is facts, but viewer Anon did say, um, like the group is looking at glass displays of all the previous Ghostface killer costumes, but the masks are missing. So this place right here that we see the group in is pretty much this theater, but also a museum. So what I predicted in my last video, what I had said, it seems to be true. It is a theater and a museum, and it basically has a rep. It basically has it's basically like a Ghostface museum where it has all the costumes and all that stuff of the previous killers of this franchise. Um, at least that's what viewer Anon said. And it's like they're all just set up on these little glass, windows, and they're all just hanging there for everyone to see. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, wait, really? Like, I'm confused. Like, I just didn't. I was just like, what the hell, man? This is just so random, but it makes sense that this is a museum because I had already said that in my last video that we had saw a museum picture like a few months ago, and this was the picture I was talking about here. It's this picture with like a ghost face in the background, and he's just like on this little portrait, and I'm assuming there's a whole bunch of other ones like this too that we're probably going to be seeing in the movie. That and there's just a whole bunch of ghost face costumes just on the little um on the little what's it called, the just they're all just set up in these little glass containers most likely, and they're all just like set up in a row. And I'm assuming eventually throughout the movie the Ghostface costumes get stolen by killers who want to be just like the past killers from this franchise. And it doesn't. I don't even think this is necessarily meaning just Billy and Stu's Ghostface costumes. Like I'm assuming this museum has a whole bunch of costumes of all the Ghostface killers that have in this franchise, and they have all the costumes just in this museum, which is kind of strange considering I don't know if the police would allow that, for the, a museum to just put costumes of real life serial killers in a museum. I feel like that's just kind of weird, and I don't think they would allow that in general. But who knows? Like, I don't know. Who knows? But he says here that they get stolen. So I'm assuming, the killers in this movie will steal these costumes. And I think this is just such a fun and cool concept. And I really like this news. It makes me excited. And, he's at the bottom, like I said, he says here that, and the person whose head you can just barely see behind Mindy is Gail. So in my last video, I even talked about it. I was like, who is this person behind Mindy? You can barely see them right there. But this person behind Mindy, I was like, who is that? And I was like, I think it's Devon Nakota. I thought that was her, but he said it was Gail. So yeah, so Gail is going to be a part of this stuff as well. We know she's going to be interacting with the new characters as well. I mean, we kind of already knew that, but we only had seen like a picture with her and Sam and Tara. We didn't think she would actually be interacting with everyone in this group, in this friend group. So this is interesting. I'm glad that Gil and Kirby are writing along with the new cast, and they're actually trying to solve these murders and all this stuff. They're trying to help out. But yeah, this is interesting. I'm glad we got that confirmed that it's Gail behind Mindy. Um, but yeah, I'm just I can't fathom just what like I'm just confused because like I'm excited but also confused by this news. Like the whole like Ghostface killer costumes. Like this is like the group in this picture is just looking at glass, displays of all the previous Ghostface killer costumes, and the mask. They notice that the masks are stolen from the museum. Like I can't even like that's just crazy in my head to picture. But I think it would be cool. Just it's cool hearing it, but I can only imagine just on screen how that would play out in the movie. I feel like that would just be cool. And viewer Anon did say that there's gonna be a mask that is old and torn up and is gonna be like like very just rusty and just it's gonna be more of a it's gonna be an older ghost face mask from I'm assuming one of the previous Ghostface killers. It could be one of them that is in this museum as well that gets stolen, that he was talking about, that viewer Anon was talking about as well. So we're most likely going to see a whole bunch of all the previous Ghostface killer costumes just in this museum, and the Ghostface costumes in every movie does look the same, but the first four movies with the Ghostface killers have been there for probably like have not been worn and used for like what a long like the first three movies took place like now like what 20 something over 20 something years now, and then the fourth movie is like over 11 years, and then now the fifth one would be only like a year or two from when Scream 6 would take place. But yeah, like the first four movies, basically all those costumes from the previous Ghostface killers, those costumes would be old and worn out by now. So I'm sure those are gonna look more different from the from like for example like Amber and Richie's costumes. Like they're gonna look a little bit different from those. And one of them is gonna be really worn out and torn, and it's gonna be really just old and rusty and all that stuff. And it's gonna get all of these costumes from all the masks from these costumes are gonna get stolen from the museum. And I saw Craven. because I already know this is what he's craving, something scary. I can already tell what he's thinking is that because I saw him on Twitter reply to ViewerAnon, and he commented, he was like, "Oh, cult of ghost faces, here we go." And then and I can already tell in his head he was probably thinking like, "Oh my gosh, this has to be Stu." Like I can already tell. Um, which, like I said, this could prove that there is more than one Ghostface killer of lot of because they could be getting different all these types of masks for a reason because they want to have you know different looks for themselves, and we won't know who it is, and it could be just multiple killers, like three or four killers, you know, that stole these masks, or it could be like five killers, maybe not five, but probably like three or four killers. They're gonna all steal these masks, most likely from this museum. Um, I don't think it's gonna be a whole cult, but it could be at least like four the most. I feel like you know four killers is probably the most I would feel like we would have if they were to kind of go that route. You know, I think I don't think this has anything to do with Stu. Um, sorry, Craven. I'm just kidding. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with this because it could just be because it could just be regular new killers in this franchise that just decided to steal these masks from the museum. Doesn't necessarily have to be like what fans are probably trying to predict is the whole Stu thing and whatnot. Which I already talked about that in one of my other videos about the whole Stu stuff, and if you guys want to go check that out, you guys could. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be any of the whole Stu stuff, or it's him that stole it, whatever. Um, like it could just be, like I said, it could easily just be the newer killers that stole the costumes from this museum, and it could be like four killers working together, maybe even like I said, maybe even five, five killers, you know, and they could all be working together or maybe working separately. I don't know. Like a like I don't know, maybe two of them are working together and the other two are working. Then there's like two separate teams of Ghostface killers going on their own killing sprees. Like I feel like that would be cool. Um, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a whole cult of Ghostfaces though. I feel like a cult would probably be like I don't even know to be honest. Like what? Like maybe a cult would probably have to be more than five killers. That's for sure. Like at least more than five. Like but yeah, I don't know. Either way though, this is just interesting. I just wanted to talk about this because yeah, like and I just think it's cool to see in general that to just to know the fact that Scream Six is gonna be in a museum slash theater setting. It's gonna have that kind of stuff. Like we that we've never I feel like this movie is gonna be the movie where we see settings in this movie that we've never seen before, and they're gonna utilize a lot of these settings. And I'm honestly, if that's the case, I'm all for it, honestly. Like I'm really excited for this, museum setting and all these other places and locations that they're gonna be filming at, that we know that they filmed that for that is gonna be in Scream Six. Like I'm just excited for this movie in general. But yeah, that's pretty much what ViewerAnon said that they're looking at in this picture. Everyone here in this picture, they're all looking and discovering the Ghostface costumes from the museum being stolen. I mean, the Ghostface mask being stolen. So everyone in this picture is witnessing, and they just realized that the Ghostface mask from the museum just got stolen, and now that's why everyone in this picture has this shocked look on their face. Because I was in my last video, I was like, why does everyone in this picture just have this shocked look on their face? They all look stunned or something. and that would explain why. You know, if the Ghostface mask got stolen from the museum, that would explain why. Um, but yeah, I think this is all fun. This is all interesting. I'm glad ViewerAnon posted more Scream Six news. Of course, it was after I had already uploaded my last video, that he gave this info. So now I have to make this video, basically backtracking everything, kind of everything that I had talked about in my last video. But it's new info that gives at least details to what this picture is about here, what they're even looking at. So, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying none of this is true, but what ViewerAnon is saying is true about this picture. But who knows? Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying any of this stuff is true, but um, it does bring a lot of excitement and hype and conversation. So you know, I'm glad ViewerAnon is always posting info about Scream and whatnot and keeping us updated on stuff. So yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about all this stuff I talked about. Is it interesting? You guys have your own theories and whatnot about anything I said here? So I feel like all this stuff is just it's exciting. Um, and yeah, like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Comment down below anything that you guys had to say about this video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.